Hello everyone, just doing a short update to explain where things stand. Mercury 9 itself is in my hands. Okay, we want to talk about a couple of things. Lots of experiments going on with this. I want to try different techniques all the time and see how they work. One, I did the light block on the outside of the ship, not the inside, and after doing that I now understand why they do it on the inside. Okay, let's zoom in on this wing right here. Okay, when I put it like that. Now, yeah, you can see it right there. That's a paint run. In order to do the light block, I was having to get the paint on here fairly thick in spots. And let me move this. That's not such a good thing. It obstructs detail. We've got a couple of thins up here at the top of the ship where the panel lines are just gone because of paint. Here's one of them. The paint got too thick because I'm trying to block the light, and I finally resorted to doing it with brush, decanting some of the paint in the cup and then brush painting it, and then that finally got the last of the light blocking done. So I've got to come in here and fix these paint mistakes. There's another one right here. They're not anything that are going to drive me completely insane to fix. It's just going to take a little bit of time with some sandpaper and being patient, and it'll be all fixed. Up next for the Mercury 9, once those are fixed, and that's about a half hour, an hour worth of work. Up next for the Mercury 9 after that is to give her a gloss black coat. I know, flat black then gloss black. It was the order in which I tested my light blocking. So we're doing this in the same order I tested my light blocking. Alright, so she gets a gloss black paint. Once done with that, I get some alkali paints after her. She will be painted up soon. But within 4 or 5 days, the paint work should be done on her, which will have me happy. I have to have all that done. Yeah, I have to be putting alkali paints on her by Sunday. Command center. Gluing the roof on right now. Added a new LED in the back because I wanted to light the windows on the roof, on the door on the roof. So I added one more LED, and that's going to get that done just fine. This thing will be glued up in a little bit. I'm just trying to wait for the AVES I'm using to embed this LED in to cure up a bit before I start proceeding on. About an hour, and I'm going to get this thing glued up and the wiring done on it. Okay? And then I will be ready to mask it and prepare it for paint. Now, that brings me to this guy, the spotlight. I've done some work on it. I put some AVES inside there where the spotlight is to hold it in, the LED in place. Of course, it doesn't want to focus on the spotlight. To hold the LED in place. Alright. I textured it a little bit. I'm going to paint that silver. The background around the LED silver so it doesn't look too funny. It looks funny, but there's not much I can do about it. This LED fixture is a little big. Spotlight fixture. I've got some other spotlight fixtures in 1/350 scale. I might pull them and see what I can do with them. But that's neither here nor there. The LED goes on top of this tower. Yeah, I can remove that clamp right now. This goes on there. Okay. Let me drop this a little bit so everyone can see what I'm pointing at. There we go. This little brass tower goes on top there. Then the spotlight sits on top of that brass tower. This is one of the last things I have to do because I have to get the spotlight aimed perfectly at the Mercury 9, or it's just shooting off in the distance. This tower can go on well before that, however. Once I get the building assembled, then the windows masked, I'm going to do all the photo etch details on this building, and I got quite a bit of photo etch details for this building. But my problem is these wires, like I said in an earlier video, are out of scale. So I've got a burned out floppy disk motor that has plenty of magnet wire in it. I'm going to start harvesting this magnet wire because I don't have time to get magnet wire. So we're going to pull the bolts on this, tear it apart, and start harvesting. there should be enough magnet wire here to do what I want, to rewire the spotlight and have wires actually running down the side of the building, which would look more normal. Okay? So I'm going to get after that. That's the task today. I want this building done in the next 3 or 4 hours. And that's entirely possible. Windows masked, everything. Wiring done, so I have wire going out the back. One thing I don't think I mentioned, okay? I wonder if anyone noticed that this fiber optic is black. I spray painted the fiber optic black. That's because there's an awful lot of light inside this command building. And the light will leak into the side of the fiber optic, causing the fiber optic to glow when I don't want it to glow. Okay? Because I want some of these fibers on blinking circuits. So I've got some blinking motion on the control panel inside there. And, you know, light leaks don't help with that. And yes, light will leak into the side of a fiber optic. Okay, I've watched 2 or 3 other people on YouTube using fiber optics, and they don't black coat their fibers. And then when the model it's lit up, the fiber's glowing. And I don't think they realize that it's because they're not painting their fibers. Okay? You got to light block the fibers just like you got to light block everything else. Well, having said that, I'm going to get busy on this. I got a little bit of work to do. Quite a bit of work to do. I've got 2.5 weeks until the contest ends, just so I can date this video. Time to move. I will talk to you guys in a bit. You know, sometimes I just don't have any luck. I was pulling the solder off the spotlight to use my magnet wire, and this is magnet wire because these wires are definitely touching each other, and that thing's still lit. Okay, I put a resistance, I put my multimeter on it to check to see if, here, now maybe you guys can see that thing is lit up. I put my multimeter on it to see if there was any, what am I thinking about? Oh yeah, if there was any shorts on the 2 ends in the magnet wire. Yeah, you can see the light right there. And there were no shorts. It read like 100 mega ohms resistance between the 2 pieces of wire that we're touching. And again, I have the wires touching here and no shorting. So this is definitely magnet wire I pulled off this motor. Okay? And it's the right size and thickness for everything I want to do. But here's the spotlight that came with the kit, and dumb little me ran 9 volts across that LED there and fried it. And since I locked it in with Abe's, it's not coming out. One thing though, this spotlight was like freaking huge. It was like 10 feet across. Yeah, it's like 10 feet across. I don't know if they make 10-foot spotlights. I'm going to do some research on the internet. If they did, I'm going to try to salvage this thing. If they didn't, I'm going to go and scratch build one. Because I only want to use a 3mm LED anyhow. So I'm not looking for a huge spotlight. I also have some 1-350 36-inch spotlights that I bought on the internets. Here's the kit right here. I have about 8 or 9 of them. And you know what's fun about it? A 3mm LED fits right inside the barrel of the spotlight. So I'm going to use this to build my spotlights with. Only real problem here is, 1, the lead's coming off the end of the LED. 2, I have to hollow this out to get the LED through it, and they're tiny. 3, this is going to be a lot of fun to do work. I mean, I'm probably going to spend an hour or 2 just making 3 of these things. And I need 3 of them. So I'm going to go let them soak in some super clean to get the mold release off them and get working on this. I'm also going to check my plastic tubing and see if I have any plastic tubing. I may just go ahead and make my own spotlight housing for this thing, because it wouldn't be that hard to do. It really wouldn't be that hard to make my own spotlight housing for this, and build some scratch built pieces of plastic using the chopper. I think I could use the chopper to make my own spotlights. Alright, so I'm going to get busy on it because time's a wasting. Glad to see I got magnet wire, and that is going to work on this just fine. I'll be back in a bit. You gotta love when things just work out right. I got out the calculator, did some math, and did some looking. Back in World War II, they had 60-inch spotlights. They're still around. A lot of people kept them, fixed them, and they still rent them out and things for special events. 60 inches at 1/350 scale is 4.7 millimeters. 5 millimeters. I can use a 5 millimeter LED, and it's the same size as a 60-inch spotlight. Needle over. Niggly things here and there. So I can actually do this with 5 millimeter LEDs. I'm going to. I checked my scratch building supplies. I have some tubing. I need to check the diameter of this tubing. I think it's a little too big. Yeah, it's 6.3. This tubing, however, is not too big, and I may just go ahead and stick with the 3 millimeter LEDs because the 3 millimeter LED fits in this tubing just perfect. And I have some L brackets. If I cut them right with Mr. Chopper, I'm going to perfectly scratch build some spotlights. So I want to get at it. We're going to build me some spotlights so I can aim them and point them wherever I want. They're going to be the right size. They're going to look fairly close to right. Let's put a little hut next to them for a generator. We're good to go. Okay? Magnet wire, I'm getting at it. Just want to let you guys know, this thing looked off anyhow. This is far too large. So I'm not too upset I killed it. So time to get moving. I got one wired up. I'm going to have to cut some more wire and get another one wired up. Be back later. I'm working with magnet wire. I got all the parts cut for my spotlights. So now I'm going to do some soldering with them. Helping hands don't hold magnet wire well, so I got some tape on there. The sticky side is down. I'm clamping the magnet wire between the non-sticky side and the helping hands jaw. It works. Okay? Now magnet wire doesn't have the big thick insulator that normal wire does. Okay? Normal wire, magnet wire. But it does have an insulator, and what you have to do with the insulator is scrape it off. I've seen more people burn it off. I just scrape it off. Scraping it off works. And I've got an X-Acto knife with an old blade here. Let me get rid of Mr. Chopper. I'm done with him for the day. I should put away all my scrap stuff. This is the blade I use to cut photo etch with, so it's not very sharp. And I just scrape that coating right off. Okay? And that, and I do it more than one side. I turn the wire. Gotta make sure you get that coating off there, or the solder won't stick to it, and it will not conduct electricity. Okay, now I can tell by the color change that I got that off there for the most part. Alright, it's going to be real hard to see. Let's see if we can get it where you can see it. Of course the camera's off just a teeny bit. Because this is some pretty thin wire I'm working with. I don't know if you can see it, but I can tell I got that coating off by the way the wire feels. Okay. I'm going to prep my wires. I've got to get 4 of them because I've already soldered 2 ends of the wires together. I mean on one LED. So I got to do 2 more. Once I'm done with that, I get back to work on the command center and get the command center done today so I can work on priming it. So I'm going to get busy. I'm going to get this done. I'll be back in a bit.